How's it going?
Good. Thank you for coming down here and chatting. Thank you for welcoming me to Dallas.
So first of all, I'm a huge fan of the book.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. How excited are you right now? Your book, first time you write a book, all of a sudden, New York Times bestseller. Your first shot at doing a screenwriting and producing of a film, and they're already getting Oscar buzz. Like, how amped are you right now?
I've been tremendously lucky. It's been great. It's been great to get to sort of write about my obsessions and to have my obsessions sort of like travel out into the wider world and to see other people get excited about the things that I've been excited about for so long. It's been just wonderful that I've been in this great position of only sort of writing about things that I love and things that I really care about. And the story of Alan Turing means so much to me, and I'm so glad to see people seem to be enjoying it on screen.
Yeah, so going on into that, you said it means so much to you. Like, is that why? How long has this process been in the making, and how much does he mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've known the story of Alan Turing since I was a teenager. Probably about the same time I started reading the Sherlock Holmes books. I was this big computer nerd, and I went to space camp. I went to computer programming camp. And I think among sort of awkward, nerdy teenagers, Alan Turing was this object of intense kind of inspiration and devotion. He was sort of the outsider's outsider, this guy who never fit into the world around him, never fit into the society around him, but not just in spite of that, but because of those differences, he was able to see the world in a way that no one else could, and he was able to do things that no one else thought were possible, and that was such a tremendous inspiration to me. So in some sense, I've very much wanted, as someone who loves films and cared so much about the story of Alan Turing, I'd always wanted to see the Turing story told on film. You know, it's been told wonderfully in a handful of great biographies. There's a wonderful play called Breaking the Code, but it never sort of received the sort of full narrative cinematic treatment that I really thought it deserved.
Yeah. So first of all, how perfect is Cumberbatch for that role? And was it difficult when writing this to incorporate who Alec Turdick was but still having some redeeming qualities for the character?
Yeah, I mean, I never imagined that we'd get Benedict for this part. As a writer, I don't even dream of getting an actor of that caliber to play this. I remember in one of our first meetings we talked about whether, I asked him whether he raised his hand right away, first of all. He was like, he knew the story of Alan Turing. He was like, oh my god, you guys are making a Turing movie, like, I need to be involved, I need to do this, like, I'll clear my schedule, tell me when it's going to happen, I'll cancel whatever else I have to do. He was just as passionately devoted as we were, which was so beautiful. And I think, Turing was, and I think that's sort of a testament to Turing kind of meaning so much to all of us. I remember asking Benedict early on if this felt too similar to Sherlock for him, but it's really not. They're very different characters. I remember I sort of asked him, because he wasn't really written like Sherlock. I mean, the sort of dialogue style is very different, and the way he talks is very different. But I asked Benedict about it, and he said, like, oh, no, they're totally different characters. He was like, if you think about it, he was like, my way into Sherlock was, it's all about the coat. He wears this big coat with this ridiculous, like, flashy collar. And Sherlock's really flashy. He wants you to know how smart he is. It's all about putting on this big show. But Alan Turing is completely internal. There's no show. He doesn't care what you think of him. He's the smartest person in the room, and he knows it, and your opinion of him does not matter at all.
Yeah.
And so everything Benedict is doing in his performance, I think, is reflecting that. It's all this kind of inner life that he has to portray.
So, going from being a book writer to a screenwriter, what is that process like? Is there more pressure to be a screenwriter because you're writing about someone else's life?
Yeah, I think in my head, I really like them both. I'm finishing my second novel now. Like, it's important to me to go back and forth a little bit. I think after the sort of loudness of movies involve a lot of phone calls, it turns out. There's a lot of, like, conference calls and meetings and all that, and it gets a little bit tedious sometimes, so it's nice to just go back into, like, the quiet world of book writing, where it's, like, me alone in my house, just, like, typing away for hours. But I think, this was a story, Alan Turing's story, I think, had been told really well on the page before. It didn't seem like someone had made a film about him, so I knew that was a story that I needed. I wanted to be a part of telling on screen. I wanted to write a screenplay for it and not a novel. I think for me, with every story, it's like there are stories that I want to work on. There are stories I feel passionate about sort of bringing to the world. or getting to be a part of bringing to the world. And if it's a book, great, I'll write it like that. If it's a script, I will do my best to write it as a script. If it's a TV show, I'll write it as a TV pilot. For me, it's more than anything about falling in love with a story that I want to spend years of my life sort of delving into.
So there's a drastic difference between when you write a book and you sit it out there, and then you're not in there when people are cracking it open for the first time and reading it in the privacy of their own den. But you were at a screening of this film with everyone else there seeing it for the first time. What was that like?
We first screened in Telluride a couple months ago, and it was so nerve-wracking. I mean, we'd seen it with sort of a couple small groups of friends and family and things like that, sort of get reactions, and we'd never seen it with, a couple hundred people in a big theater, and it's so nerve-wracking, you're so tense, I felt like I was going to throw up. You never know what they're going to do, and I remember very early on, there's one line that always gets sort of the first laugh in the movie. And I remember being there and sitting next to Morton, the director, and we sort of got that first laugh, and it was like, okay, they get it. Because the movie's also, I think we keep hearing it's a little bit funnier than people expect it to be. People know it's a very serious topic, and they don't expect there to be jokes. And so I think we had this moment at the beginning when they watch it, when people are like, oh wait, I'm allowed to laugh. Like there's jokes in this. There's a certain lightness to the first third of the piece. So once we get that first laugh, we're like, oh, okay, they get it. They're in. We're fine. But it's amazing, and I think what's been great is showing the film to different audiences so far, and seeing their sort of different reactions to it. A few weeks ago we got to show it for 17 members of Alan Turing's family, his relatives in London. Wow. And that was a screening that we were all really nervous about, because that's the most important audience in the world. I mean, we are putting their relative up on screen, and we want to do justice to his story. We want to pay tribute to him as a man. And so, I will say that the phone calls and the emails and stuff we got after that from his family, and seeing their faces and talking to them about it, I mean, they were so enthusiastic. They loved it so much. One of his nieces, who knew him when she was very little, and got to go to the screening a few weeks ago, said it was just like she remembered him, and it was like seeing her uncle up on screen, and that for me was the most moving audience response we've showed it to. And then, kind of in closing here, I know whenever I looked you up, you're also doing a screenwriting for Devil in the White City, or is that done? It's a movie, so it's never done. One thing I've learned about screenwriting is it's not done until the movie hits theaters. Then the script is done. The script is like it's a ball constantly in motion. There's always, because it's a blueprint for something. Like the script isn't, the film is the goal. The script is just a tool to get you there. My script for Imitation Game was a tool for Morton to direct the film that he wanted to direct and that we wanted to make together. And so, yes, my script for Devil in the White City will in some sense never be done until we have a film. But yeah, that was wonderful. That's a book that I've loved for years. And I'm from Chicago, so it's a hometown story. It's a book about this the building of the Chicago World's Fair in 1893, and the serial killer who builds this hotel on the outskirts of the fair to kind of ensnare and then murder women coming to visit the fair. Somewhat of a darker piece than the Imitation Game. Yes. But it's great, and Leonardo DiCaprio is attached to play the serial killer. He's been wonderful. He's been really enthusiastic. Also, unlike the Imitation Game, it is fantastically expensive as a film to build this entire fair. So there's a lot of my understanding is there's a lot of people at Warner Brothers doing a lot of number crunching right now to figure it all out. Because it's very complicated. Well, I appreciate your time, and congrats on all your success. And I brought you. Yeah, thank you so much. I know you're a big scotch guy. I am. Thank you very much. Cheers, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.